But you know what's funny is the field's not even grass, so the flag didn't even plant. So, like, you go to plant this flag in the turf field, it just fell over. So you was never going to plant it anyway because it was turf.
It's so true. You just got me to snort. Oh, man.
Roll down tide.
Light it.
Mark's always in charge of music. Coach, not so much. Just
I like it. I like my eyes go right to the top left.
right. Let's see what Mark is doing when the triple option music hits. Welcome,
Coach, you can't tell me that music don't hit.
I love it. Welcome
Hey.
to another edition of the triple option presented by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new saucy nugs today. This week, how about this, huh? Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman joins us. We're going to talk about keeping the pain in South Bend. Wonderful conversation with Coach Freeman. We're also, of course, going to discuss Ohio State, Michigan, the flag planting epidemic that took over college football last Saturday. We'll also get you ready for this weekend's major conference championship game. So glad you're with us. Rob Stone, Alabama national champ Heisman winner Mark Ingram, three-time college football national champion winning head coach Urban Meyer back here with you. Thanks for joining us. Remember, please rate, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. You can find us at 3X Option Show. New episodes drop every Wednesday. And yes, we've been saying this kind of like all season, but this past Saturday, even more in particular, that on any given Saturday, anything can happen in college football, particularly when it's rivalry weekend. It's genuine, it's unpredictable, and it is absolutely chaotic. And the heartbeat of that chaos was in Columbus, Ohio. A major upset, second-ranked Ohio State falling for the second time this season as Michigan comes into the horseshoe and wins a knockdown, grind-out, kind of ugly rock fight, 13-10. Only 3 points scored in the second half, and that was the winning field goal by Michigan. They head back to Ann Arbor. They are bowl eligible, had been bowl eligible for that week. The Buckeyes, they drop in the rankings, but they are still very much alive to continue on in the college football playoffs. Urban, your initial reaction to what transpired or what is going forward in Columbus right now?
Yeah, as I prepped for that game, I did not see that, Mark. And then the news we got Saturday morning, two of their best players are out.
Yeah.
One of their best, Colson Loveland, is an unbelievable player.
One of the best tight ends in the nation.
I thought,
Their best DB.
Who do they go to on offense? You know, they're playing a quarterback that has minimal success and really hasn't played much, Dave Swarren. And I just didn't see that. But you got to get, the one thing about the game of football, there's a scoreboard at the end, and you have to take your hat off and give respect. And that was a rugged win for the Wolverines. They controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides. They, especially defensively, those the two future NFL draft picks, a defensive tackle. But here's the thing, Rob and Mark. When you lost that game, and I remember Woody Hayes distinctly saying, and Earl Bruce would say it to me, it's 365 days of pain. You have to live with that. Here's the reality now. That's somewhere in you, but you better get it out because you have a playoff to go to. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, you'd lose that game. You'd go to some bowl game you wish you weren't at, and it'd be misery. And you got to regroup right now. Like now. It's got give them 24 hours. And talk about that's how you would always do this. That's the captain's stripes for your leaders and for your coach, man. Don't stand up in front of the team when you win, and all. That's not hard to do. What's really hard to do is when you get punched right square in the mouth, and you are hurting, you're bleeding, your guts are laying on the floor. You got to pick them up, and you got to grab each other, and you got to go. And if they don't do that, they'll lose.
They don't got to get ready
because there's a
now.
bunch of good teams coming up. I'm sorry.
They don't got to get ready now. They got to get ready right now. Because they got Oregon in the Big Ten championship coming up this weekend. And Coach, you mentioned
Penn State. Penn State.
Penn State. Dang, they're not even in
How
that.
dare you disrespect Happy Valley?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're on a bye week, man. Their regular season is done. They certainly thought they were going to play in
Penn
that
State,
game,
you
Mark.
get your opportunity.
But Mark, that goes to your point. Like everybody was already talking Oregon, Ohio State
State
rematch, Big Ten championship game, and that's why the game is different, man. It is a special rivalry, Mark.
Yep, it is. It is. Hey, man, you know me, man. I'm from Michigan, man. So I grew up Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State. Then I went down to the south of the Mason-Dixon line and that Auburn, Alabama. And, you know, we had it scrapping too this weekend too. So y'all weren't the only ones bumping. You know what I mean? But that rivalry is special. The game is a special rivalry, man. I got a lot of respect for it. And when you watch that game, man, it is physical, it is nasty, it is tough. Coach mentioned Michigan goes in without two of their best players, Colson Loveland, Will Johnson, and guess who they turn to? Their 6'2", 230-pound monster of a running back, Khalil Mullins.
He was unbelievable in that fourth quarter. Unbelievable.
Breaking tackles, but that's what Michigan had to do. They had to make this game ugly. They had to get turnovers on defense. They had to control the line of scrimmage on offense, and Khalil Mullins was the heart of it. He ran hard. He broke tackles. He got the tough, dirty yards all game long, 116 yards and a touchdown. This dude is a beast, man. He made the switch from linebacker to RB1, and the man has single-handedly carried the Wolverines to a victory on the road. Not single-handedly, but he had his big hand in it. So
hey, Rob,
shout out to Khalil Mullins, man.
Rob, think about this. That was their first road win of 2024.
Yeah.
They came in there ready.
I read that. I couldn't believe what I just read. I want to throw these two names out that solidified themselves as, first of all, legends in the game, Mason Grant and Kenneth Grant. Those two, I watched that game 3 times already. I just keep watching it and trying to figure out what happened. And Ohio State had 3 offensive linemen out, future draft first-round pick. Josh Simmons out at left tackle. He's out. The backup left tackle is out. The center's out. And you could tell they were discombobulated in there. And it was a beating that I'll tell you that Mason Graham, number 55, he plays with his hands as well as I've ever seen a defensive lineman. He plays full extension, Mark. He's playing right here. That's it. I'd love to see how strong that cat is, but he plays the entire game. Mark and Rob, what I'm talking about is defense linemen that can offense linemen want to engage. That's why there's holding. Defensive linemen want to disengage, and his power and hands were incredible.
I just had to talk about the offense real quick of Ohio State. How do you not force feed Jeremiah Smith with Will Johnson out? How do you not?
We've been
force
saying this
feed
for
Emeka
weeks, though,
Egbuka?
Mark, haven't we?
Yes, throw the football to these guys. You're trying to line up and run into the teeth of a Michigan defense who was built to stop the run. What does Michigan see every day at practice that they're good at defending? The run. Mm-hmm. What do they see at practice every day that they're not good at defending? They don't see it at practice because Michigan doesn't throw the ball well. So I would be throwing the ball at them. Emeka Egbuka had only 5. He had only 4 catches. Jeremiah Smith only had 5, and 4 of them was in the first half.
Some of that may be a Will Howard problem.
Will Howard definitely did have 2 interceptions. He had 2 bad interceptions in the game.
Bad. That's the thing. There's interceptions and then there's
bad
interceptions.
Yes.
And Coach, I want you to get into the wideouts, what you saw from them. But I'm forgetting. Let's get right to Will Howard. All right, let's start with that.
Well, him and Davis Warren were in a competition who could throw the worst interceptions.
Right. Well, who could hurt their team the least? And I feel like, Coach, this is just me here, outsider Rob Stone. I look at that first Will Howard interception, and all of a sudden, I'm tight. I have no say in this game, right? I got no dog in this race, but I'm tight, and I'm like, every time he steps back to throw it, I'm like, ooh, watch out! I am nervous for what could happen for Ohio State right now, and my feeling is that translated up into the coach's box. And Chip Kelly and Ryan Day on the field felt that as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, number one job of the head coach is to be the game manager, and that means that you're not calling plays, you're not calling block punts or whatever. You're calling a cumulative effort of offense, defense, and kicking. When your defense is as dominant as Ohio State's defense is, you have a Wolverine offense that for the season they've not been very good. They've been struggling. How do we lose this game? You turn it over.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you also at some point you got to do something other than run at the strength of the defense. Yeah. So I'm painting a big picture for you. How do you lose that game? You turn the ball over.
Yes.
Well, they also didn't get, how about this? The last 14 snaps, not one first down. digest that for a minute. 14 snaps, that means 3 straight drives to go win a game, and they don't. And this is really interesting, Mark, too. We talk about the receivers at Ohio State. A lot of credit to the Wink Martindale, the defense coordinator at the Wolverines. You know how many snaps and man coverage they played?
How many?
5.
Yep. Protect your defense. Protect your defense.
And a couple of those are in short yardage. So because I kept watching it, I started marking it on my pad. Zone, 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 zone. And remember early in the game, they kept giving them those outcuts?
Yeah.
And you're not going to lose a game by giving up an outcut, Mark.
Yep.
So the Wolverine defense said, keep these monsters in front of you. They had a couple pass interference calls when they got behind them. But they played zone coverage. And it was really, really smart. Usually against zone, you can find ways of getting an extra hat in there and run the ball. But it's amazing how this worked out. To stop the run normally, Mark and Rob, you got to stick an extra dude in
guy, yeah.
And behind that's usually man coverage. They didn't really necessarily do that.
So how did they get away with it?
The defense, those 2 tackles inside were 2 gapping. Yeah. I mean, they're playing the B gap, disengaging and making them play in the A gap.
But
it was unbelievable.
But they had success early in the game. Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins doing the option pitch on the edge. It went for 17 yards. It was almost uncontested. We didn't see that again the rest of the game.
Right.
You keep running inside A gap, B gap into the strength of 2 first-round D tackles. Get on the edge and get these guys into space. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I just felt like there was really no. When you have a defense who is their strength is the D tackles, you want to get on the edge. You know what I mean? And stress the edge. They did it early in the game, had success. They didn't continue to do it throughout.
Yeah, I'm going to give you just a 15-second. So, and I did this on Big Ten Network. To stop the run, I'm not talking about pressures. To stop the run, you need to edge the defense. That means you have to contain the defense, and that doesn't mean run up the field. Nope. That means you squeeze the C gap. You set the edge, and you know what that does, Mark? It squeezes the B gap.
Yep,
and then you squeeze it. It works together. The whole line works together, and the defensive line of the Wolverines set the edge.
Yes.
I mean, it was really something to watch. And then they let those 2 first-rounders control the A and B gaps, and the linebackers ran. It was, so you can say run around it. They set the edge. You know,
did the coaching staff lose faith in Will Howard at some point in that game?
I think the weather. I think it was not an easy day to go flip the ball around.
Okay.
And zone coverage is you better be on point. And he didn't have much time. He also was pressured a lot. So it's a cumulative effect on the quarterback. He lost his confidence early when he flipped the ball out there and got picked off on about the 8-yard line. You got, the wind's in your face. The reality of you have 3 new offensive linemen and they're getting on you. Every time you pass now, there was people breathing down on them. So it was cumulative effect. And then the other thing, you had zone coverage. So, you had to be really on your mark. Man coverage is easy to beat. Put a freak against a non-freak and throw him the ball. That didn't happen. Wolverines did not play man.
I'm sorry, Coach. What did you see from the wide receivers? Because I know you were focusing in on the Buckeye receivers.
Yeah, I didn't feel them. I didn't feel them. And I went back and I kept watching them. And was it lack of effort? I don't believe it was lack of effort, but I think it was frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've coached that position. I've been around the high draft picks, and they get frustrated. You got to keep them engaged. And the Wolverines played behind them. They were not going to give up a big one, man. They were going to force you to dink and dunk, and Ohio State didn't have the patience and accuracy to do it.
Yeah. 45th meeting of the game that was decided by 1 score. And remember, the Buckeyes came into this one favored by 21 points. That is the biggest point spread for the rivalry since 1978, which makes it the biggest loss point spread-wise in the history of the game. That is your Saucy Nug of the week. Try some at your nearest Wendy's. Let's give you a bonus Saucy Nug from Wendy's. And Mark, this goes to your point. The team that has won the rushing battle in the game has now won the last 23 straight games between Ohio State and Michigan.
Ball.
Well, and again, Ohio State has hats. They literally hand out hats that says, run the damn ball.
Yep.
And they could not run the damn ball, even though they had Henderson and Judkins. But yeah, the offensive line, I think, is a real concern for Ohio State.
I don't care who you are, Stoner.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. If you don't have space and room to run, you will not be successful as a running back. or as the team in the running game. You have to have people moving the line of scrimmage, moving people off of their spots, and then allow your backs to be able to hit the space. But if you can't block, you're not going to be able to run.
Light it.
You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, right, Mark? You've had the Wendy Nugs?
I've had
dipped in
them, and I love
All right.
them.
But, Mark, I ask you, have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs that I know you love, and you know what they turn them up to? They turn them up to 11, Mark.
Ooh, more than 10.
More than
Choose
10.
between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. There's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love.
Are you man enough to try the spicy ghost pepper, by the way? Do you think you could pull that off?
That's not for me. I'm the honey barbecue type guy.
Yeah, I can do the peppers. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then go back and get a few more napkins and prepare to nug. Apparently, the word nug is a verb now. So, Mark, prepare to nug like you've never nugged before for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Keep on nugging, America.
Nug City.
We are counting down the days to one of the greatest games of the year, the Army-Navy game presented by USAA. And this year marks the 125th meeting of Army and Navy, and both will be battling for the win and the chance to sing second.
As a proud presenter, USAA knows this game is so much more than football. It's a time for the country to come together and recognize the commitment, teamwork, and sacrifice our service members make for our country.
Founded by a group of military members over 100 years ago, USAA remains dedicated to serving the military community and their families with a wide range of financial products and services. Because they know you can't always guess the next play, but you can be ready for it.
So whether you're rooting for the Army Black Knights or the Navy Midshipmen, USAA is proud to join you in honoring and celebrating one of the greatest rivalries in all of college football.
Visit USAA.com to learn more. Let's be blunt. The Buckeyes have a lot to play for. I know this,
Everything
this
to play
loss
for.
stings in Columbus, but my goodness, everything is still in front of them. In fact, if you look at your BetMGM championship odds, the number one team right now, favored-wise, of course, it would be Oregon at plus 350. Then there's 3 teams there at, quote-unquote, second at plus 450. Georgia, Texas, the Ohio State. So people still believe in Ohio State going forward. So, Coach, how does Ohio State, how does Ryan Day go forward from this moment, knowing that they're not playing in the Big Ten championship game again this weekend, and they do get a bye if you're trying to look for a positive. But, boy, this is a big-time psyche build-up project, it feels like, in Columbus right now.
Yeah, this is not Psych 101. This is graduate level psychology. You got to figure this one out. And I'm not saying I have the answer because we've all got our face kicked in a game, and it's so dependent upon. I've always been a guy that I always had a group of players, Mark. That you would certainly be one of them. That's the alpha. That's a personality guy that also will let me know, will talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is not it's Ryan Day and it's the coordinators and all that. But to me, and it always will be a player. You got to reach the players.
Yeah.
And I don't know this team. I don't know, I see Will Howard talk a lot. It seems like a great leader, but who is the dudes is it Jack Sawyer? But it'd be every day I'd be meeting with those cats and figuring the pulse of the team. I think they had practice yesterday, I heard. But you got to rinse and spit and get going because it's upon you. If you don't even want to think this way, but if they lose the first round, oh my God,
well, all right, let's do that ugly hypothetical if you're a Buckeye fan, all right? And this starts going right to Ryan Day, Mark, right? You're having 4 straight losses in the game. This was a win the natty or bust type vibe around Columbus. They may not want to say it, but clearly the donors will tell you that.
You don't put $20 million not to win.
And then should they lose a first-round playoff game? That's a big if, right? I understand, and I'm not here to – but the pressure on Ryan Day's job and the athletic director that did not hire him will be under major, major scrutiny if, Mark, that is to happen.
Stoner. Coach, what you say every week? This is going to be more pressure next week. This is going to be more pressure the next week. It's just a matter of the fact that his job.
If there's no more weeks going forward, if it ends
then
with a loss in the playoffs,
there has to be uncomfortable, tough conversations. But at the end of the day, it's like, who is out there for Ohio State to coach? Who's going to coach that job? And then, like, with this calendar of the college football schedule, you fire a coach, not everybody could poach off of your roster and just relentlessly, and you can't even get nobody for 30 days or whatnot. So it's just a tough position to be in if you're Ohio State, because if you fire your coach, much like what happened with Alabama last year, when Coach Saban stepped down, there was 30 days where Alabama couldn't get anybody out of the portal, but everyone could poach off of their roster. So the college football calendar is it's tough right now, and it makes it tough to fire a coach at the end of the season. So who are you going to get? And we're
not using the F word, Mark. We're just saying maybe there's
I'm not saying
way,
for Ryan Day. I'm saying for just any college football program who wants to move on from their head coach at this point of the season. You have a window that closes where you can't go out and grab nobody in the portal, but everyone in the portal can poach off of your roster. So it puts your program in a bad position to let go of your coach at this point in time of the season.
Well, Michigan went through it last year, right? And Coach
exactly.
talked about it on Big Noon, that gap when they're fighting for a national title, and then they lose their head coach and the coaching staff and the players to the NFL. It was brutal for them. But to me, the things that are going on in Columbus are just absolutely fascinating. And somebody's going to write a wonderful book about this someday. And I'm a Ryan Day fan. I know you are, Coach, as well. I want to see him succeed. And guess what?
He's a great coach, Stoner.
He has absolutely succeeded. That was his first loss to an unranked opponent. And you look at his win-loss record and the things he's achieved, it's been amazing. But the game is how you are judged in Columbus and Ann Arbor.
We were with Charles Woodson. We were with Charles Woodson last week. He even said, Ryan Day is a great coach. But people get fired behind this game right here.
John Cooper.
Yes. Brady said it. John Cooper, he lived in that era. People get fired behind these rivalry games. And
it's amazing. Jim Harbaugh started 0-5 now.
Yep.
And he was on his last legs because
and they didn't play the 6th.
Yeah.
Think about that. Ohio State would have been a 3-touchdown favorite in that one. And so, it's uncomfortable to hear the fired word, and it's uncomfortable to hear about pressure, but it's also reality that you're compensated very, very well. You get all the resources. I talked to someone, I said, man, it's a rugged job, but it's also arguably the best job.
Yeah.
And there's no one saying that there's plenty. And I would start, and you guys laugh at this. Here's my first team meeting every year and my first staff meeting. Everybody understands their job description I said this at Florida and also Ohio State. You're expected to be the very best at what you do in the country. If you're a coach, a running back coach, you better be the very best. If not, you're going to have to answer to me and say why. Because of whatever resource you need, I'm going to give you to go study whatever. You need to be the best. As a player, if you're playing tailback, Mark Ingram, you're expected to be the number one tailback in the United States. If that doesn't fit your job description, you can go, I'll help you right now. I'll sign your release papers and you can go. Because there's a lot of places out here, Mark, it's really not that important.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best. There's 130 schools, or was 120 schools. You don't have to be the best tailback.
Yeah.
You be good, you're fine. You go eat your dinner and you go home for vacation and all that. At Ohio States of the world, you don't.
Yeah.
And that's why you got to clean, I call it a cleansing. You got to clean your mind and say, this is my job. That means, people say this is drastic. Every waking moment you have, if you're not the best, find a way to become the best.
Yes.
And that's your job description. I get it. If you don't like that, go pay your taxes, be a good person, but leave here.
Yes.
And so
that's what I think
the way it is.
That's what a lot of these programs are missing, a coach with that type of message to his team, because it makes guys uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you got to work.
Not all guys.
It
doesn't make Mark Ingram uncomfortable.
It don't make me uncomfortable because I know I'm at work. But that type of message, that type of tone resonates through the entire team. So if you have someone who is on the edge, now they know I need to get going or I'm going to be left behind. So that type of tone and that type of messaging to a team is the difference between a mediocre team and a championship team, in my opinion.
Well, after Thanksgiving, a lot of people do go on those cleanses. My wife has is doing it right now. So I'm really excited for the mood swings that are going to come firing my way in the next couple of days. But Ohio State has to cleanse themselves of this win, Coach, right? So how are you managing those moments? And we haven't even gotten to the flag planting, and we're going to get there in a moment. But how do you manage those moments starting that post-game meeting with the team Saturday and what you're doing the next couple of days, and then how you bring them back and how do you move on? Is it a white glove treatment, or is it fire and brimstone? I know each team has their different psyche, and
right.
And it feels like this Ohio State team is a little bit more introverted than maybe elite football teams typically are. And you were saying, like, I don't know who these leaders are. I don't know who that guy is that's taking them. I think Bobby Carpenter had a comment a couple weeks ago that this is kind of a subdued, calm, introverted Ohio State roster. To me, that just makes things that much more challenging, although sometimes there's those cats over there where you got to, like, calm them down a little bit. But how is Ohio State, Ryan Day, the coaching staff, the leaders on this team, how are they managing, let's just say, this next 7-day block?
Yeah, Lou Holtz was a mentor, and I would ask him, he'd be on speed dial, and he would always, every time I'd ask a question.
Who are your leaders?
Yeah, first, what kind of team is it? Remember, there's three types of teams. There's the arrogant, overconfident team. There's the team exactly the way you want it, very businesslike, but very confident. And then there's the teams that introverted, and deep down, they don't trust each other, and they lack confidence.
Yeah.
So if you got a team that's here, you got to beat them down a little bit. I would bring them right in and watch the video, and I'd get after their tails about what happened. There's plenty of that. I watched the tape a bunch. There's plenty to get after them. There's the perfect team, and you go right back to work. And that's the team that you want. That's a team that's got a little swagger to them. They realize they screwed up, and you just keep building them. And then there's the team that's really, really hard. And that's the one that lacks confidence. They don't really, and I don't know what kind of team it is. I'm not on the inner walls of that.
Yeah.
But the team, you probably have been around some teams like that, Mark, where there's just not a lot of dialogue. It's kind of a quiet team, and you come in, I used to walk in the locker room, and I'd
come on,
tip tables over, and I'd be like, turn up the music, man, let's go. And but then there's other teams when you had the Boses and Zeke, I didn't have to do that. They were doing it.
Yeah.
So
you had them dogs. Them dogs. Yeah.
So it's really dependent. I know we could go on and on and on, and it's a great question. If someone had the answer to that, then, I mean, to me, that's the essence of coaching. What you just said, Rob, that's the essence of coaching.
Is this team still a viable candidate to win the national title?
Absolutely. Coach? That roster is still Mark, you tell me, other than the offense line, you name a better roster in college football, I think it's Oregon, Texas, Ohio State are the best rosters in college football.
Coach, when you have a defense that plays at a high level like that, and you have those playmakers in the backfield and on the outside, you are always going to have a chance because players win games. So all it takes is putting them in the right position, having them confidence, having them believe, and they are just as dangerous. They're probably even more dangerous right now because people are overlooking them. Michigan beat them, this, that. They're probably even more dangerous now because they get a week off. They come into the playoff with a chip on their shoulder with an edge. I'd say right now, just like they had after the Oregon loss, how they bounced back, how they've been overcoming adversity all year long, this team might be more dangerous right now than they have been, even though everyone begs to differ. But I think they're going to bounce back.
Let's get to maybe the biggest talking point from that game and so many other rivalry games this week, this flag planting pandemic, if you will, epidemic, whatever you want to call it. It's a demic that went around college football. And it's going to have a say in what Ohio State does going forward. So these are some of the scenes from the post-game melee. And for those who didn't know, the Big Noon Kickoff team, we were in one of the end zones getting ready to do a post-game show when this broke out probably 60 to 70 yards behind us. And I was going, you see some pepper spray being shown right there.
What?
Young Camden Stone was somewhere in the outskirts of that filming some shots. And this was an ugly scene on so many levels. It got violent. And there's no place for this in college football. So there's a lot of spots I want to hit with this. Let's talk about let's just talk about Ohio State and Michigan and how this impacts Ohio State, this incident, all right? And then we're going to talk about it as a whole. But right now we're going to stay with Ohio State, Michigan, and literally the flag planting episode that I think triggered the whole weekend, all right? So Here's Ryan Day after the game addressing the media on what transpired after the game at midfield.
Yeah, I don't know all the details of it, but I know that, these guys, are looking to, put a flag on our field, and our guys weren't going to let that happen. So, I'll find out exactly what happened, but, this is our field, and certainly, we're embarrassed with the fact that we lost the game, but, there's some prideful guys in his team that weren't just going to let that happen.
You hear it in his voice.
He's
Exhausted.
Numb. He's numb.
Spent. I mean, Mark, that's the point, the numbness of Ryan Day post-game. There's also some video kind of following Coach Day while they were singing Carmen, Ohio. That's when some of the players peeled off, and Coach just kind of looked around, and he went towards the eruption.
But didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. He
was numb, Stoner.
He didn't run in there. He didn't pull guys out. He was just kind of like,
he's in
what
pain.
am I looking at, right? Like, I felt bad for him. I also know that I think I would have wanted my coach to get his tail in there and start pulling guys out and figuring what's happening and ending it. But you're right, Mark. It was this you can't see me, John Cena, this glaze of, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what just happened. And now I don't know what is happening in front of me. And just such a bizarre visual that he gave us after the game.
He was numb, Stoner.
Yeah.
The pain of losing 4 straight. That you're trying to process that loss. You're doing your little sing, and then you turn around and there's just a scuffle. Like, you're just like, what's going on right now? He was just in a storm that, like, it was like a dream. It was like a nightmare. And he wanted to wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Nightmare Part 2, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know this was, I thought it ended with, just the loss, and now there's more coming.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, man, like, Ohio State side, like, you ain't gonna let nobody just plant a flag in your field. Like, so you are gonna retaliate. But at the end of the day, you had 60 minutes to fight. You had 60 minutes to fight in between the lines. And now y'all showing more fight after the game than you was during the game. Not the defense, by the way, but it's just a bad look, man. It's just a bad look.
Coach,
what you got for me, Coach? What you got for me,
take
Coach?
on what transpired?
Yeah, there's so many layers to this and I get accused of being, you're old school, and I'm so proud to be old school on that I used to have that rule. I think I told you guys, when you score a touchdown, you flip the ball to the official and you go hug your teammates. Most importantly, the offensive line. Oh, and I used to tell Mark, if you don't, rip your helmet off, punt the ball, I'd take your jersey off too, because you're done. You're not going to play. You've scored your last touchdown for at least 2 to 3 weeks if you do that. And so if you watch Zeke and all the guys, it just became a standard norm that you go hug the guys that got you there. Mm-hmm. I'm the same way about winning. And you just heard Marcus Freeman. I've heard him talk about it before, where, the greatest part of winning is celebrating with your brothers. Where? In the locker room. And so this is wrong on all fronts. Ohio State needed to sing the alma mater and get in the locker room and go figure out how to win the next one, playoff game. And to me, the Wolverines had a responsibility to go celebrate with your fans and your teammates and get in the locker room. Get off the field.
Yeah.
Get out, I'm not into taunting. I'm not into embarrassing your opponent. I'm into beating their ass as best you very can. And that's what they did. But then go celebrate, and don't do that. And then okay, now the next is Ohio State turned and charged them. And was that wrong? Absolutely wrong. And it's criminal. It's called assault. In the real world, you can't do that. So it's wrong on all fronts. But I'd be disappointed in my team if I'm standing there and you see your arch rival go and do something on your field. It's time to go fight them. That's
you're not about to let that happen.
That's what you do. It shouldn't come that here. Last thing I'll say, and I'll let you guys talk. The NCAA's got to finish that. Someone's going to get badly hurt. A fan's going to get badly hurt. They were spraying whatever that stuff
pepper
was.
spray.
Pepper spray.
That was whack.
I had a friend who was there and got hit with it, and told me, he said, he was not right for the next hour after getting hit with that stuff. And so, but is a police officer wrong? No.
Yes.
You got 320-pound men.
He's wrong.
Getting ready to go after each other.
I'll let
you guys talk.
Nobody's armed, Coach. Nobody has guns. Nobody
whoa,
has
those
knives.
helmets are weapons. If they
Yeah.
come out and they're swinging, you connect.
You're an officer, Stoner. You don't have to pepper spray
Hey,
people.
look at me. If I'm an officer, look at me, Mark.
Hey, we
If
need to-
I'm
well,
an officer, 160 pounds, stinking
and you're
wet Rob
fearful
Stone,
and you can't handle yourself, you might need to find a new profession.
dude,
Go
that
pay
was
your
a train
taxes.
wreck around him, man. Those are
was.
300-pound grown men, angry and swinging and fighting, and that's a melee, man. How do you bring a melee?
He needs to be.
How do you calm it down?
That's assault, coach. What he did is assault. He needs to be getting some repercussions for him because you can't just pepper spray all the kids.
Well, I'd say the pepper spray actually kind of calmed things down and got people out of it.
Yeah, because they couldn't see or breathe no more.
Bingo, that's the plan. Get him out, man. Get him out.
Man.
All right, do we agree? This is not a shot at Michigan. This is a shot at every school out there this week that wanted to take their flag on somebody else's territory and plant it. That is the trigger. 100%.
Yeah.
Those are the moments that triggered all of these eruptions across the
It was no
college football
flag
landscape.
planting in the Iron Bowl. We were still bumping. So
Yeah,
it's
you're
just,
right.
it's just those rivalries.
And there were some coaches out there who stopped the flag planting, whether it was last Saturday or even a couple weeks ago. Remember James Franklin at Southern Cal when Penn State won? He's like, no, and took that flag away from him immediately to diffuse what could have been an ugly situation.
You go out there, you whoop a team, you get on with it. Like all this flag planting stuff, we never thought about doing that when I was at Bama. Like we never thought about bringing our flag and just planting it against Florida or planting it against Auburn or planting it against LSU. No, you do all your work, you do all your talking on the field, strap the pads up, talk with your helmets, talk with your pads, and go on with it. Like I don't know, man. It's ever since the Baker thing, the Baker Mayfield when he planted his flag, you know what I mean? It's now
At Ohio State.
Yeah, now it's a fad. Now it's a whole fad now. So whatever,
Michigan
man.
and
Play
the
ball
Ohio
and get
State,
on with it.
they were both fined Coach $100,000.
Don't stop with that. I mean, it's like saying, okay, let's take off wins from 20 years ago, or let's what was that? What do they call that? I used to die laughing when our AD would tell me some school who was cheating. Yeah, they made them. What do they call that? Give up wins.
Rescind
the wins or something like that. That's going to do a lot. No, you punish it. And you got to punish. 100,000 fine. Okay, I think. Yeah, I don't know. You got to whoever's grabbed a flag, that person's done for a game, and the head coach is going to be potentially suspended as well because he didn't enforce it. That's how I would handle it. The money, $100,000. Where's that money go? I always crack up about that. Oh, it's $100,000 fine. Okay, all right, Big Ten Conference. Tell me exactly where the $100,000 goes and who cares. That's not going to deter. That's not going to deter people from doing it. When someone's going to get really hurt badly. And it just looks awful for the great game, the greatest game that exists. I'm very biased as college.
Well, essentially, they're allowing it because there's no.
Every action is either taught or allowed, Mark. Every
yeah.
action that anybody does is either taught or allowed. And right now, the NCAA says we're allowing this.
Yes.
We're going to fine you $100,000. That is not a deterrent at all.
Right. Because none of the people who were involved are getting disciplined.
No.
So you could do it again, and then the school has to pay.
I think
for
the
it.
Wolverines actually, the flag that they did 2 years ago is like in the Hall of Fame, and the Wolverine.
But what's funny is the field's not even grass, so the flag didn't even plant. So like you go to plant this flag in a turf field, it just fell over. So you was never gonna plant it anyway because it was turf. Whatever. Let's move on. Roll down tide.
You just got me to snort. Oh, man.
But I swear, I saw him plant the flag. I'm like,
I know they did. I know it's symbolic
like,
and all that other stuff. Coach, I'm with you. It has to be Big Brother has to come down with a heavy hand, and it has to be suspensions. But at this time of the year, I think conferences would be fighting the suspensions, right? Because they would be hurting their brand. They'd be hurting their team. If 10 dudes were handed suspensions for their next game, and that next game, guess what, is a playoff game, and all of a sudden one of their
you can't do it
Big
now.
Ten is handcuffed.
You can't do it now. That's got to be done in the offseason.
So you do it in the offseason when the guys jump to the NFL and it doesn't even matter.
No, this one's done because the NCAA made. You're right. You
That's
can't
what I'm
do
saying.
that.
Is
You said suspensions, Coach. The suspensions have to happen after it happens.
Well, there's
Otherwise,
no
it
rule.
doesn't matter.
There's
Yeah.
no rule. There's no rule.
What if the
There's
player's
no
a
rule
senior?
that
It
says
doesn't
you
matter.
can't. There's no rule out there, so you can say don't do that. But there's got to be a rule say you cannot taunt your opponent. You can't slam a flag in the middle of the field. From
And
now
they have
on,
taunting. They have taunting penalties on
Right.
touchdowns.
No, I'm not saying you suspend the kids now because those players weren't told that. But there's got to be an off season
Going forward, there has to
Oh,
be
yeah,
a
yeah.
rule
No,
in play.
you are not going to suspend players for what happened. You can't. That's the NCAA. It's really the program's fault for letting it happen. But it happened in 5 different schools, I think. 4 or 5 different games.
At least.
So this
At
is,
least.
it's an epidemic now. You got to fix it. How do you do it? You come down with legislation and say, okay, here, you're suspended for a game the following game. And same thing, your coach can't coach the next game either. You know what happens? You won't see any. It's done.
That's going to end immediately.
Yeah, it's done.
Immediately. Can we talk about college football again and no flags?
Yes.
We good with that? Can we move on from flags and
Yeah.
planting them in artificial turf and concrete? Coming up next,
Artificial turf.
we react to the penultimate college football playoff rankings and what it means for this weekend's championship
Roll
weekend.
damn tide.
Light it.
Well, as you all know by now, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. We'll also have special offers for our listeners each week. Mark, you're listening, right? You're listening to this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Pay attention. Pay attention. All right. So if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, we urge you to use the bonus code OPTION or go to betmgm.com/option and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer, Mark, on your first wager with BetMGM. We're talking $1,500, Mark.
1,500. But here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code OPTION. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code OPTION when you sign up or go to betmgm.com/option.
It's all about the option, Mark.
It's all about the option, especially the triple option.
See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369 New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Time now to react to the 5th college football playoff rankings. Again, the final one, the one that really matters, comes out on Sunday. 12 teams make the playoffs. 5 highest ranked conference champs get automatic bids. The 4 highest ranked conference champs get a first round bye. Seeds 5, 6, 7, 8 host first round games on campus or at the location of their choosing. When you download the full episode of the Triple Podcast starting Wednesday, Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman is going to join us. We're going to talk about that very topic. All right, let's go through the rankings right now, guys. And there they are. Miami down 6 spots to number 12. They do not play this week. Strength of schedule is 55. They've lost 2 of their last 3. The problem for Miami is the team that's right above them, guys. Alabama at number 11. They go up 2 spots. So Alabama has been fluctuating all over the place. Over the course of the 5
Let's go!
playoff rankings that have come out, they've been at 11, 10, 7, 13, and now 11, just above Bama, up 1 spot. Boise State at 10. They win on Friday in the Mountain West Championship game. They are in, and by all accounts, they will be not hosting. They will have a first-round bye. Indiana moves up a spot. They go to number 9. They absolutely laid it on Purdue last week. Again, the concern with them, strength of schedule, 65th. They do not play again in the regular season. SMU, the Stangs, up a spot to number 8. They have Clemson in the ACC championship game. A lot more on that in a second. Tennessee, up a spot to number 7. Their regular season is done. Buckeyes, what happened to them? They fell 4 spots after falling at home to Michigan. They sit there at number 4, 10-2. still 2 wins over current top 10 programs. Georgia up 2 spots after surviving Georgia Tech to number 5. They're in the SEC championship game. Notre Dame now at number 4, up 1 spot. Penn State also moves up a spot. Nittany Lions at 3, Texas up a spot. Longhorns now at 2, the highest that they have been ranked all season. And once again, where they've been all season long, Oregon sitting there at number 1. All right, Coach, from your Make-A-Wish Foundation banquet right there, I know we're stealing you away from Chef Meyer and his specialty of tomato soup and grilled cheese, but what's the big thing that jumped out at you?
Boise State and SMU got a bye week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Boise. Oh, yes, you're right. You're right.
Boise.
I thought you were saying this week.
Yeah, they got to
this
win.
week.
They got to win. Obviously, SMU's got Clemson and Boise State's got UNLV, but I just stare at that. And the one thing that you hope for, it would be a little bit NCAA men's college basketball feel to it. I think this has an absolute Final Four feel to it when you look at that. I mean, what are we talking about? SMU, and I've watched them on tape. All due respect, they're a really good team. But if you had said, okay, 3 or 4 years from now, Mark, SMU might have a bye in a playoff and find a way to win a game and are one game away from a national championship. So I think the interest level is incredible.
Yes.
I think the committee is tasked with there's no chance they can be right, but they are right because they pick it. So whatever they pick, there's going to be people pissed off.
Of course.
Either way, but
they're already
I like
pissed.
It. I like it, man. I'm telling you, I like it.
They definitely pissed.
Oh, pissed off now.
They definitely pissed.
SMU sitting there as the 3 seed, Coach, to your
3
point.
seed.
Boise State, the 4
Wait, say
seed.
that. Mark, Rob, say that again.
SMU
sitting
is
as a
the
3.
3 seed. Boise State is the 4 seed. They both have buys and sit in the quarterfinals as of now.
And Notre Dame has to
spots
play
on
round
Sunday.
1 because they're independent. Wow.
Correct.
We're
And
sitting
they are
at the
at a
4th ranked team, though.
So Notre Dame's the 6th seed hosting your Alabama right now. But listen, things are going to go Notre Dame's way, assuming, and there's a big assumption from what we've seen in college football this year, but should Penn State lose, Notre Dame is going to move up to number 3 at a minimum.
Wow.
At a minimum, and they are going to be your 5 seed. They can't be a top 4 seed because they're not a conference champion. So all of a sudden, Notre Dame, after that week 2 home loss to Northern Illinois, we're going to talk to Marcus Freeman on the Triple Option Full podcast that drops Wednesday, are sitting there in the best spot that they possibly could have thought they could be in heading into the campaign. And Mark, you and I talked about this last week. The top of the bracket is interesting. Is very interesting. It's probably
it changed a little bit
lighter than the bottom half.
It changed. Well, yeah, it was the top half of the bracket last week, but now it's looking more even now.
Is it starting to even out for you?
Last week you had Georgia,
correct,
Ohio State, Oregon, all up top.
Yes. Yep.
And then now Georgia's down, Bama's down. So now it's kind of starting to even out a little bit. The bracket looks like. But, this is going to change because I still think SMU, they host Clemson. If Clemson wins,
that one
SMU is going to get bounced. ACC is only going to get 1 team in.
Whoa. You think SMU is going to get bounced with the loss? They moved up 1 spot.
ACC is only
I do.
ACC is only going to get 1 team in. They have no current rank. They have no wins over currently ranked teams in the CFP.
If Clemson beats SMU in Charlotte, you say SMU falls below the cut line. They're going to get
bounced.
1 spot to number
8.
ACC
ACC is going to get 1 in. The Big 12 is going to get 1 in. You're going to
that
get
one. I guarantee you. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's going to go to the winner of Arizona State, Iowa State.
Yep.
So and the Big Ten's going to get 4, and the SEC is going to get 4. At least that's what they have right now. 1 Mountain West and 1 independent in Notre Dame.
It's going to get.
How about Arizona State, man? Look at that.
Arizona State, they got to play, and they got to play Iowa State. So Iowa State is on the outside. They could get in. They could play their way in.
I think one of the big talking points is that Alabama-Miami. Again, Alabama sitting at 11.
Miami hasn't played a ranked team.
So there you go.
They haven't played a week. They have no ranked wins. They have They have no ranked wins. They haven't played a ranked team, and they lost 2 of their last 3. So
that's a big one. The momentum is
Hey, Mark,
Yeah.
you got a reposado?
I got it right there in the bar
I got
right
behind the
behind
closed
us.
door.
Los Senderos right here. So.
Okay.
So you're saying Miami? I felt all year because I watched them a bunch. That was a little bit of a house of cards.
If
You
they
know,
didn't
that-
have Cam Ward coach, they'd be a 500 team, maybe
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, and he is everything that you thought he would be and more. But without that cat, so yeah, I agree. That's really, that conversation's over.
They have
about
2
Miami.
losses, and they have 2 off controversial endings. Remember, we were watching one at the
Right.
bar at the hotel the night before our show with the Hail Mary. I forget who it was against.
I think it was
but-
Virginia Tech.
Yeah. So they've had 2 endings that really saved them. So the fact of the matter is they haven't played a ranked team, and they have no ranked wins. While Alabama has the 10th strongest record, and they've had 3 wins over current CFP top 25. So I think they did get that right. Then South Carolina's behind Ole Miss and Alabama because they lost to both of them in the regular season. So everyone wants to make this noise about South Carolina getting in, but they lost to Ole Miss and Alabama, so they should be behind them.
Yep, they got that part right. I want to throw out a couple interesting quotes from Ward Manuel, who's in charge. He's the committee chair for the playoffs. So number 1, his line, quote, "Those who are not playing we will not adjust these teams."
Yep.
Okay, so if you're not playing, you're not
Say
gonna
that
be
again.
adjusted.
Say that again.
Those who are not playing, we will
right.
not adjust those
Yep.
teams. So
So that's
Notre
it.
Dame at number 4, not playing. They're not going to sink, right?
Right,
They
right.
can go up.
Right.
Ohio State at 6, not going to be punished. Tennessee at 7, not going to be punished. Indiana at 9. And again, the big one, Alabama locked and loaded over Miami in that 11-12 spot. So Alabama is always, through Sunday, going to look better on paper than Miami. So Miami needs full-on chaos for teams to drop and plummet, and it's going to be really hard to see that
So
many
let me
teams
ask you a
dropping out.
question. How
Boise
good
State
is
could be one of them.
How good is Arizona State?
Arizona State is a good football team in the Big 12. Like, they run the ball really well. They're playing good on defense. They have
I gotta
Cam
go watch-
Scatterboo. Cam
I'm-
Scatterboo. If you don't know who Scatterboo is, you ain't a football lover, man. Because Cam Scatterboo is that guy. Yes, sir. And he gonna tote that rock. But Arizona State, they're decent
Because
now.
you look at Penn State's track to the semifinals. They have to beat Arizona State. And once again, I apologize. I've watched them. I'm going to really study them now. And then Boise.
That can move though, because if Penn State loses, it changes the bracket where they fall in the bracket. So they might not end up having Arizona State, right, Rob?
Oh, by the way, how about if Penn State wins?
I don't think they can
Okay,
move.
if-
Hey,
I'm
Mark,
just saying, if Penn
go
State
back
wins-
to. I'm sorry, Rob. Go back to what Mark said. They don't get punished because they're going to be there, right? If
But
they lose.
maybe Notre Dame. Well, yeah, I guess.
But Notre Dame could rise. Ohio State could feasibly
But you can't punish Penn
rise.
State in the championship game. You just said
You
that.
can't punish them and kick them out. You could punish them and move them in
down,
the rankings.
Move them down. Okay,
For sure.
okay.
Yes.
So consider this, though. Should Penn State win, they are going to be, and again, listen, there's a chance that Penn State is going to be the number 1 team. There's a chance Penn State is the number 1 seed.
Wow.
All it takes is an upset over Oregon and Georgia to beat Texas.
Come
now,
on.
Maybe Georgia.
No
I'm-
way
I'm-
Penn State gets it done.
I'm telling you, Penn State is at number 3, and they beat the number 1 ranked team in the nation in Oregon, and Texas happens to lose to Georgia. Penn State is going to be number 1, people. They're going to be the number 1 overall seed. And
It's
not
not
only that,
happening, Stone.
All they need to do is beat Oregon, and that's a big all they need to do. But if Penn State wins, Penn
And the
State
spread's
is
only
in the
minus 3.5.
quarterfinals.
It's only
Penn
minus
State is
3.5.
a top 4 seed. Correct. And
I'm putting money on that
venue,
game. I'm
that's
putting
a
money on
neutral
that game,
site venue
Stoner.
in Indy, and I think the fan base is going to be. Oregon travels well, but I think that Indy's going to skew a little bit more.
The spread
towards
is only
Penn State.
minus 3.5. Oregon. I'm gonna buy the hook and I'm putting money on it.
I can't believe I just, Coach. What blows you away more, Coach? SMU and Boise State are going to get buys, or Penn State could be the number 1 overall seed.
All the above, man. I'm just staring at this thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, damn, I wish this was when I was coaching. I wish we had this.
SMU
I
getting
think
a
it's
buy is
phenomenal.
beyond me, Coach. Like,
I just think it's one of the greatest things that's happened in college football.
it is. It's awesome. I love
in
it.
our lifetime.
I love it.
And You know, back when Utah was in 04, we would have beat Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush in the in the USC. I just think this is the greatest thing because, once again, you wake up in the morning and there's now what do you got? You got
There's
12,
15
and then
teams.
Probably 3 or 4 teams. You got 15, 16 teams in the first week in December that think they got a shot. That is freaking awesome.
Coach, that's a shot to win the national title.
Yes.
Not a shot just to get to the playoffs. A shot to win it all.
Damn, I wish we had this.
Me too, because I was a part of a 3-loss Bama team, like this team right here. And my junior year, if we would have had a shot to get in the tournament, we would have been a bad draw for anybody.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to throw this out here, Mark. We won in a 14 at Ohio State. 15, we were better.
Yeah.
Our 15 team, when we lost in a rainstorm to Michigan State, we went and beat the brakes off of Notre Dame. And then in the Wolverines, we ran for 400 yards on them. That team would have won it. But we just didn't have a shot. Damn. This is this is incredible.
You guys didn't have a bowl. You guys couldn't go to the bowl that year or no?
No, there was a college football playoff and we were like 5th or 6th or something because we lost late.
This is great for college football. I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, when have you ever thought that Arizona State, Boise State, SMU, Indiana would be in a college football playoff? Like, this is amazing. And then Iowa State could play their way in. Clemson could play their way in. So there's still stuff to be done here in this championship weekend. Like,
I tell you what, I want to see SMU in there. I hope there's not a conversation. I hope
they have to win.
They can take care of Clemson, and there's not a conversation. And if Clemson does beat them and gets that automatic bid, it's going to be, that's going to be a tough, nasty, jagged, dry pill to swallow for SMU.
You know, SMU loses to Clemson, Rob, they're out.
Yep.
You can't do that.
Yes, because they have no wins over current CFP top 25 either. They beat a Pittsburgh team who was not even ranked anymore.
I'm going to say that'll actually hurt college football because you'll get, why play a difficult non-conference schedule then? Don't do that. You have to play rank. And if I'm SMU, I change my scheduling philosophy right now because you're a big boy now. You weren't a big boy earlier. I'd go start scheduling some really good teams because and I know some people that are involved in SMU. The minute they made a decision, a lot of people donated to said, let's go play big time football. And they did. So now go schedule an SEC or a Big Ten opponent early, or maybe 2 of them, Rob, because you have to, or the non-conference schedules go away.
Right.
Well, and you can't do that.
I'll add this, Coach. The ACC is down, right? This is Florida. Remember, Florida State, we were talking about them making it to the playoffs last year, and they just fell off the cliff. Clemson is staggering around. There are programs that can elevate that conference, which will give you better wins if you schedule. You know, who knows what North Carolina is going to be? Can NC State get themselves back into a top 20, top 15 type conversation? Virginia, Louisville, can they elevate themselves? Louisville, Duke, all these teams are just kind of hovering in that dad bod belly area, right? They need to tighten it up and
Syracuse
move that bod up to the chest. Syracuse, by the way, up to number 22 this week, 9-3. They were non-ranked last week, so Syracuse, softly helping the cause, if you will, of the ACC.
I'll tell you, Syracuse's coach, man, we got to get him on the podcast one. He's got a little swag to him. I don't know him, but I mean, he brings it now.
Put that on the to-do list, Coach.
Yeah, he's getting ready to buy Ryan Day, Don Perrione or something like
Fran
that for
Brown.
sending him Kyle McCord.
Yeah, for sending him Kyle McCord.
Yeah, and he got the shower this week because he had a win. He doesn't shower after the losses, apparently.
Yeah.
That's too much information.
Doesn't shower after what?
Yeah, after losses, he doesn't shower.
You need to go wash your ass, dog. That's nasty.
We welcome you back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob, Mark, Urban. We're now joined by the head coach of Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman. Coach, before we even get going, you got to tell us and our viewers about the background that's behind you right now. This is so cool.
Yeah, these are the old stadium bleachers from Notre Dame Stadium before they redid it. They took all the bleachers and really they put it around campus in different offices. So these are the original stadium.
That's real
bleachers.
wood. That's real wood. That's not a tapestry. That's not a poster. Yeah.
No,
History. Legendary.
Oh, man. The things those planks of wood have seen in South Bend. Amazing. Well, thanks for joining us this week, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Coach.
Hey, Marcus, so good to see you. One of my favorite people and I love our dialogue throughout the year. I talked to you after you had a tough loss early in the year, and I always try to watch your press conference because when I was a young coach, people helped me, and so I reached out to you. And one of the great comebacks in college football season, college football this year, you guys been on a great run. What was the message after getting hit in the face like that early in the year, and then you brought him back, your team came back? What was the message?
Yeah, I think you go through your natural emotions as a leader, right? The first thing I wanted them to know, I remember saying in the locker room is, I've been here before, right? Not everybody in that locker room has been there before. I've been here before. I've had some tough loss. We lost to Marshall my first year, but understand it's going to be a long week, but we got to stay together. That's why I said stay together. There's going to be a lot of noise outside of here. Stay together. And from that Saturday night to Sunday, I really took a deep dive and a self-evaluation as the leader of this program and said there's a bigger lesson to learn. Like, there was some mistakes in the way we played. We weren't as good as we thought we were at that moment. But I thought the thing for this group and for me as a leader was this was the first time that we've won the big game to start the season since I've been the head coach. The first 2 years we lost to Ohio State. This year we beat Texas A&M, and I said, that's it. Like, we weren't ready to handle success. I wasn't ready as the head coach to handle success. And I said, this will be the greatest thing that happens to this football program if we utilize the lessons that this game has taught us, but then we got to keep the pain. We can't forget the lessons this loss to Northern Illinois has taught us. And so our guys bounced back, and we started to continue to improve as a football program, but I always reminded them, we got to keep the pain. We got to keep the pain and remember the lessons we've learned from that loss in Northern Illinois.
So you talked about this game being emotional and how that loss affected you guys. You just had a great win against a rival, USC. The cameras kind of caught you being excited, a little emotional. We all know how these wins are. What did that win mean to you in this program?
Well, I think, first of all, it was a rivalry win. And I tried to really paint the narrative, make sure our guys understood. We know what the win at USC would do for our future, but I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to focus on this rivalry that we had with USC and the opportunity to go out there and play in a rivalry game and to win this rivalry game. And, I think in that moment when the game, the time ticked off the clock, it was one of relief and joy that we got it done.
Right.
But now, hey, let's enjoy this victory, but now we can allow our minds to think into the future. And it was a special moment, man, with a special group of guys that have done a tremendous job.
Coach, this is really interesting because you just said you're going to allow the guys to think about the future, but it was thinking about the future after that week 1 win over Texas A&M, which got you guys in trouble, right? Yeah. And then you reeled off, 10 consecutive wins. So how do you look forward while also maintaining that focus that you've instilled since that loss to Northern Illinois?
Yeah, we had a team meeting yesterday, and I said, take this week and use it as a bye week, right? This is our bye. We don't have a first-round bye. This is our bye week. And really decompress. I said reload, reset, recover, and let your mind go wherever you want. Like, take the stress off of having an opponent off your mind and off your plate. And so when we find out who our opponent is on Sunday, the first thing I'm going to do is narrow our focus back to what's important, right? And that's the present. But I wanted this week to just be one where they could focus on academics. They can really have a unstressful week and really just kind of reset as we get back together on Sunday.
Marcus, last year you got Sam Hartman, Riley Leonard this year, the transfer quarterbacks. You got C.J. Carr, Lloyd's grandson, coming up. Ideally, do you want to, try to keep a young guy and develop them, or do you see that continuing, or do you want to kind of get away from the transfer stuff?
Yeah, my vision is I want to major in high school recruiting. That's what this program is going to be built off of. And, I made a decision after my first season, the next 2 years, to say we needed a transfer portal quarterback. But I have a strong conviction that the future of our football program is in-house. And I believe in the guys we have here and those guys being able to lead this football program. And that's what I want to continue to do is recruit at a high level and have our starting quarterback be a guy that we got from high school that understands what this football program's all about.
Hey, Coach, in saying that, I know we just talked about it. You said that you have a bye week coming up essentially because of no conference championship. Like in the current college format, there is no bye week for you guys because it's only for the fourth conference champions. So does that change your mind at all about being independent, or does the independent actually build you in a bye week before the college football even starts? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's the way we got to approach this thing. We have to look at it as this is an advantage for us. We don't play in a conference championship game. This is our bye week, and this is the week we get to use to recover physically and mentally, to put ourselves at a place where it needs to be to go into this playoff and make a run. As far as joining a conference, there's some higher ups that make those decisions, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't make that decision?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Everybody thought you did.
So I'll let those higher ups make that decision. But again, we got to sell us being independent is the most positive thing we have going for us. Our TV deal with NBC, some of the unique games that we play from coast to coast, right? There's all these different conferences. And so we try to sell that's one of the greatest things that is about this program.
But Coach, those higher ups are going to come to you for your opinion on should Notre Dame join a conference. So what would
He's not going to give that, Rob.
I'm not saying like, hey, let's sign up with the ACC or the Big Ten right now. But I honestly, you have
Notre Dame
a bye
in the Big
week
Ten
because you can't be a conference champion. And again, this whole year, this 12-team playoff is going to flush out a lot of things, and we know it's going to be things are going to fluctuate, and how seeds are really going to be viewed going forward. But if I put a gun to your head, hey man, do you want to be in a conference or not right now? Would you rather be in a conference?
We're good right where we're at.
Yeah.
That's my
Here, I'm going to add something, Marcus, because I coached there, and I think it's a whole different animal now with a 12-team playoff. Rob, when I was there, if you didn't win a national championship,
it's over.
It was hard to keep the players fired up.
Yeah.
You lose a game 3, game 5, game 6, and then all of a sudden, I remember I'd walk in the meeting room and there's no way to get a ring. There's no way to go play in a conference championship game. I think that it's a whole different animal for Notre Dame now. And Marcus, I apologize interrupting, but you got to swing for the playoffs now every year. So I think
the greatest thing that has happened for us is the 12-team playoff, right? That we understand that it's not one loss and you're out. We knew that after we lost Northern Illinois, every week was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And but with 12 teams now, we have a better opportunity to make the playoffs. And once you get in, here we go. Every week is the Super Bowl. But I think the greatest thing that happened for us was the 12-team playoff.
Hey, let me ask you real quick about this, because I thought about this with Ohio State and Ann Arbor and Penn State and Notre Dame. But that home team, a home game in December, and you hear those two words, lake effect, come rolling across Lake Michigan, man. I'd hear that, and I'd wake up with 5-foot snowdrift in our driveway. Is there any conversation of going playing in a controlled environment like Indy if it's a bad day or a bad week, you can see it coming?
No, we're going to use that to our advantage for sure. We'll practice outside. I'll tell you that right now, Coach. We're going to be practicing outside. I'm assuming we're going to have a home game, and we're going to make sure we're ready for this environment. That's got to be an advantage for us, right? Sure let's get as much snow and as cold temperatures as we can find.
You mentioned you assume you have a home game. So if you're talking to the committee right now, what would you tell them to say, yeah, we're absolutely deserving of being seated that high to have a home game in the first round?
Rob, I don't like to spend a lot of time.
I know, but a lot of your brethren are doing it right now, right?
They ranked 4 right now, Stone.
Each their own. Listen, where we're at is where we're at, and if we don't have a home playoff game, we'll adapt and we'll adjust. But I got a strong conviction that the rankings will take care of itself and we'll have a home playoff game.
Coach,
it's
man,
easy to do that when you're sitting inside the top 5, right?
Yeah, sitting at number 4. They should be having a bye, basically.
Steer things for the conversation. You're not Lane Kiffin down there at Ole Miss and South Carolina, whatnot, having to do the politicking. Do you like that in college football? Are you all right with coaches and ADs, speaking up, a week and change out of the final playoffs, fighting for their spots in there?
Absolutely. If the coach and the ADs don't have a strong conviction for their program and they're being deserved to be in the playoffs, then why should anybody else? And so, I have no problem with that. I think that's great for college football. But at the end of the day, what matters most is what you do on the field. And that's what I like to spend my time thinking about.
Coach, man, I'm a running back, and I love how you use your running backs up there in Notre Dame, man. Estimate last year, even going back further years. But Jeremiah Love, he's just been amazing this year. I think he's one of the best backs in the country, full, complete back. What you are showing that the running back does have value. So what does the running back position mean to you and your offense? But more importantly, what has Jeremiah Love meant to this team this year?
Yeah, he's a special football player. And we try to find as many ways to put the ball in his hands and let him go and make plays. But, I think Jeremiah will be the first one to tell you he's not going to have success without those big dudes up front.
Facts.
And our guys up front have been blocking their tails off, man. They've been doing a heck of a job of reestablishing a new line of scrimmage. They've been playing as one, which any great offensive line has to do. And what that does is when you have success in the run game, and it truly gives you an opportunity to have success in the pass game. If you want to put up your guy in the box, good. Now we have one-on-one coverage and we got to go make plays. But that's always been what I believed in my heart as a player, but now even as a coach. Like, you have to be able to run the football and not be a one-dimensional offense. And that's going to create a lot of openings in the pass game.
Hey, Marcus, last week, obviously, tough day in Columbus, and you played with Laurinaitis, Carpenter, Hawk, and Schlegel. I mean, all cartoon characters, right? I love those guys. But after the game, I stood there, and I really couldn't believe what I saw. With I saw, the amazing blue flag being planted at midfield, and that, because I grew up in the great state, as, Wolverine would grow up in the state of Michigan. You see that happen. Any thoughts? And first of all, as a former player that played there, and then the reaction by Ohio State, and does something have to happen in college football to stop that?
Yeah, I don't think, obviously, that's a great look for college football. You don't want to see these young individuals that you care about that are going to take over our country, man, that we're on a football field fighting and pepper spray and those type of things. That's not a great look for young people or the game of college football. Again, I only speak for our program here, and my message to our team is to make sure we're celebrating together. Like, there's nothing more important than us celebrate together. It's not to celebrate on somebody else's field, or I'm not okay with going to plant a flag in somebody's field. Like, you guys have all worked your tails off to achieve success. Let's celebrate together. Let's get in that locker room where we celebrate team glory. There's no better feeling than that. There's nothing greater than the moments after a game when you can celebrate in that locker room with everybody that put everything they had into accomplishing that victory. And so that's my message to our program is, we have big wins. Let's go in that locker room and we celebrate together. And that's what's important.
Coach, you're undefeated in that game, Ohio State, Michigan. What is your greatest memory of that undefeated in that, what most people say is the greatest rivalry? What is your best memory of being undefeated in that rivalry?
Probably I think back to 2006. It was number 1 versus number 2. Troy Smith was our quarterback. We were the number 1 team in the country. They were number 2. It was one of the few 3:30 games that Ohio State and Michigan played against each other. And I remember it kind of led into the nighttime, and it was a hard-fought victory. I think it was 42-39 victory. But that was special. It was an undefeated season before we had to play Coach Meyer and those Florida Gators national championship game. So I like to end that season right there, right? The victory, 1 versus 2. I don't like to think about what happened after.
Coach, let's end this conversation talking about Notre Dame. And I like to use my resources. So I went out to my people. I got a Notre Dame grad with a question. This is from John Perugini, class of 1991. He would like to know if the parade route has been planned already. I'm kidding. That was an actual question. He's a buddy of mine. I was like, I'm going to say it to Coach, but I'm not even going to let him.
I was going to say, Rob, I was ready to push end meeting.
All right, so here's his question. Oh God, I love the parade route. It made me laugh out. All right. He goes, I'd also love to know how to avoid a letdown in the first playoff game. We kind of touched on this. I'm going to tweak it in a second. He goes, I know that sounds crazy, but they were completely laser focused for 12 weeks on making the playoff, which seemed like a long shot right after the NIU. So after gripping that wheel for 12 weeks, I'm sure there was that huge exhale Saturday night, as you mentioned. And then you talked about, Coach, keeping the pain. Okay. How do you keep the pain going into the playoffs?
Well, I think there was something said in that statement that's wrong. We weren't laser focused for 12 weeks on making the playoffs. We were laser focused for 12 opportunities to win that game. And that's our mindset, is to prepare to win a game each week, right? Each week we're ultimately focused on what we have to do to win this game, and that's something I believe in, to stay in the moment, right? We don't, to stay in the moment, like the future's uncertain. The future's uncertain. Why waste time daydreaming about an uncertain future? So just like as we'll get our opponent named on Sunday, we'll be laser focused on preparing to win that game. I don't care what happens after that. Let's prepare to win this game, because that's the only thing that matters. And so keeping the pain is something that our players will often hear me say. What does that mean? It just means that I think you learn the most about yourself as an individual and us as a program in your lowest moments. Winning's great. It makes you feel good. But you really learn a lot of valuable moments and a lot of lessons when you lose. Now, you lose too much, you won't have a job. All right. I understand that. So that's why I say keep the pain, keep those lessons that you learn about yourself, about your program when you're at those lowest moments, and what it takes to have success. And we got to make sure we understand how important that is.
And Coach, if it gets to that point, I know you can text and call Urban about the parade route thoughts, where to start, where to end, how long it should be. Do you do one in Chicago as well, or just keep
Marcus,
it
you stay focused. I'll handle all
Yeah.
I'm here to keep things softly off the rails and then back on. Marcus Freeman, congratulations on a wonderful season. Enjoy that bye week. Enjoy the bye week and enjoy what we all think will be a home playoff game. Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate you, Coach. Good luck, man.
We
rooting for you.
Appreciate you.
Unless you play Bama.
Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer, Rob Stone back here with you. Time now for Pick 6, brought to you by BetMGM. Place your money line, prop parlay, and same game parlay bets at BetMGM. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. So we've got 6 games against the spread here on championship weekend. Mark is getting ready for his deuce dog of the week. We remind you, these lines are current as of Tuesday and can change. Let's start with the Friday night tilt in Boise. We'll be there live on Fox. The Old Trapper Mountain West Championship game. UNLV versus Boise State. The Broncos, coach, now favored by 4.
Yeah, we're headed there, and my wife even asked, said, "You've ever seen the blue field?" So now we get to see the blue field, and I've been watching a lot of film. That's hard to watch the game. You got blue jerseys, blue field, and I had to run things back a bunch of times, but never been there. A lot of respect for Boise over the years. It's a 4-point game, and Boise is the topic of conversation when you mention the non-4 conference teams that are going to make the playoffs. But I'm telling you this, Mark, listen to me. UNLV will be right there, man. They are really, really good. It's a 4-point spread. It started at 3.5. UNLV's 10-2. They haven't had great wins. Their 2 losses, though, they had, let's see here. They had 2 losses, are Boise and Syracuse, but they beat Kansas. Barry Odom, who used to be the head coach, I don't know him, but I've heard a lot about him.
He's a hot name in the coaching market, right?
He should be. He should be. How about your best quarterback after week 3 because of his agent or whatever said, quit playing? And then this cat, Hajj Malik Williams, comes in. Excellent runner. They utilize his strengths. It's a fun offense. It's spread option. It's a spread option offense, and that cat's all over the place. They got an excellent receiver in Ricky White. I think my concern with Boise is it's the
one and done.
One of the greatest players that I've seen, Genty. but I see good players around them. I see more balance at UNLV. I see a better defense at UNLV. I want to say UNLV has the number 1 defense in the Mountain West Conference. So I'm going to take the points. I might. I need more time, but I'm certainly going to take the points. UNLV going to Boise.
And again, this is a de facto play-in game into the playoffs.
Absolutely is.
So much online. That's going to be a fun show Friday in Boise. Again, that one live on Fox. The USAA, American Athletic Conference Championship game, also Friday night. And how about poor Tulane, right? They're favored by 6 against Army. Last week, we were talking about the Green Wave. Remember, they went up 3 spots to number 17 in the rankings. They had a real good chance to get themselves into the playoffs, particularly when we now reflect back and see all the chaos that went down last week. So what did they do? They laid an egg at home to Memphis. One of those weird things about those Thanksgiving Day games that kind of drives me nuts. I know you don't get it, Mark, with Auburn and Alabama. You don't get it with Ohio State and Michigan, but you get it a lot of places. These Thanksgiving games, the student body is gone. They're back home. And the home games that weekend aren't as homey as you would like, right? The crowd just isn't in there. You don't have that student body to the masses that you normally do. I see that as a big drawback. If I was in charge of my schedule, I'd be fine with having that game as an away game, because to me, that's going to be more like a neutral site game. So Tulane laid an egg at home to Memphis. Good news for Tulane. They're still off to their 3rd straight conference championship game, but now they don't even host it. Instead, 10-1 Army, one of the feel-good stories of the season. They went 8-0 in their first year in AAC play. And scenic, beautiful Mikey Stadium is going to host a conference championship game for the first time. Here's the bad news. 3rd game, coach, in 14 days for Army. But if there's one group of young men who you'd like to think can handle that workload mentally and physically, right? It's the Black Knights. It's the United States Military Academy. 6-6 last year. Why did they rebound and have such a good year this year? Well, let's give a lot of credit to the senior quarterback, Bryson Daly. Leads the conference in rushing, over 1,300 rushing yards. He went over 100 yards 9 consecutive times and rushed for at least 2 touchdowns in 8 consecutive games heading into the championship game Friday. And by the way, he's coming off maybe his best passing game of the year. Get this, coach. Completed a season high, how many passes? A season high, how many completions?
9.
Really close, 10 for 190 yards in the win over UTSA. Army, a home underdog. Go ahead, tell me you want to bet against Army in West Point. Have at it. Be my guest. I'm not man enough to do that. Army's magical season is capped off with an AAC title, and they earn it at home in West Point. Yeah.
Like that?
All right, thank you. Saturday, boy, the Big 12 championship game will be at AT&T Stadium, Iowa State, Arizona State. The winners should, by all accounts, move on to the playoffs, and they might even get themselves a bye. That's a big might. They'll probably know what happens because of Friday's Mountain West game. But the Big 12, man, Mark, it's been wild and fun, and there's been a lot of coaches this week who are kind of like putting their stake down and saying, hey, man, give credit
Big 12
to this conference. Give credit to the Big 12.
The Big 12 has probably been the most exciting conference all year. It would be surprising, but now you have Arizona State and Iowa State. Like, there's 2 contrasting styles here. You got a running back centered offense with Arizona State, and we love that boy.
Who?
Guess who? Cam Scatterboo, and the man is toting that rock. And then you got Iowa State. They're the only team in the country with multiple 1,000-yard receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. But listen, Arizona State, they have one of the hottest offenses in the country right now, averaging over 35 points per game during their 5-game winning streak against the number 1 scoring defense in the Big 12 in Iowa State. So this is going to be a clash of, who can get it done. But obviously, we all know about Cam's, huh? We all know about
Scatterboo.
We all know about that boy, Cam Scatterboo. He leads the Big 12 with 170 scrimmage yards per game. Second in the nation, only behind guess who? Your boy Ashton Jeanty, who you just talked about, Coach. But it's not just him. It's their quarterback. It's Sam Levitt. It's their wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. The defense is allowing under 15 points per game in the last 3 weeks. And I'm telling you this, what has been the Achilles heel of Iowa State? It's been good running backs. Ohio State has the number 1 defense in the Big 12, but they do have a weakness in stopping the run. And that's not good when you got Cam Scatterboo coming to town. Both of their losses this season has came against really dynamic running backs. Lost to Texas Tech with Taj Brooks. They lost to Kansas with Devin Neal. And now guess who's coming to town? Cam Scatterboo. I got Arizona State led by guess who? Cam Scatterboo, a.k.a. Scat Pack. I got Arizona State. Cam Scatterboo, a.k.a. Scat Pack for the dub. Arizona State getting their playoff berth. And we've been talking all year about Coach of the Year candidates. We've been talking about Cignetti. We've been talking about this and talking about that. But what about your boy, Kenny Dillingham? Arizona State was finished to pick last, coach. Dead last, spanking last. And now they about to have a playoff berth off the back of a young, swaggy, 34-year-old head coach. And they are beast Cam Scatterboo, who was toting that tater.
34 years old. Wow.
34 years old.
I was 34 years old a long time
stoic.
ago.
Going against your old school coach, Matt Campbell, for Iowa State. But I got Cam Scatterboo getting it done. Arizona State to the playoff.
When did you go to Arizona State? Did I miss that on your resume?
I did go to Arizona State for an official visit. Official visit, and I love Tempe.
By the way, when did Scatterboo become Big Noon's favorite football player?
Last year.
About 7 years ago.
Right?
Last year.
Both are right. Both are right. Our crew lights up when there's anything mentioned with Scatterboo. All right, let's move to
Scatterboo is a dog, man.
He is. Let's move on to the ACC championship game in Charlotte, Clemson SMU. Let's take you back to last September. Do you guys remember when Florida State and Clemson voted against SMU's admittance to the ACC? Maybe it wasn't so much about dollars and perception. Maybe it was actually about not wanting to play the Mustangs on the field. Matt Leinart has written this. We're all in on the Mustangs right now. Since making the move to Kevin Jennings at quarterback, the Stangs, that's what we call them, Mark, the Stangs.
The Stangs.
They have won every league game. They've scored at least 28 points in every game that he has started. That includes 38 or more in 6 of 9 games. As for the Clemson quarterback, Cade Klubnik, nearly led the Tigers to that signature win against in-state foe South Carolina. By the way, it was in Death Valley. It was at Clemson, so he probably should have done it. They went for 280 through the air, had another 62 on the ground, a pair of rushing touchdowns, but a late INT cost Clemson and Klubnik the game. His one weakness this season has been dealing with elite pass rushes, and SMU, guess what? Kind of fits the bill. The Stangs D-line ranks top 15 in the country in pass rush grade. They have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. SMU has an opportunity to earn a bye if they can get a signature win over an established program, the face of the ACC, a program that didn't have their back to get into the Atlantic Coast Conference. Mark, payback is a
mother.
You know what?
A mother.
Mustangs.
Shut your mouth.
Win the ACC in their first year in the conference. Go Stangs. Big Ten championship game. Indoors, Saturday night in Indy, Penn State, Oregon. The Ducks coach, the last remaining unbeaten team in FBS.
Yeah, when I watch Oregon play, Mark, I think they're fast. I don't know their 40 times, but they're fast everywhere. They're fast on defense. They had 10 sacks last week, and a lot of it wasn't pressure.
Wait, 10 sacks versus Washington?
I thought you were about to say the last 4 games.
Yeah, last 10 games.
No, 10 sacks. Tosh Lupoi, their D coordinator, was on my staff, and he's phenomenal. He's one of the best motivators I've ever been around, and they play like their hair is on fire, man. When I say fast, I mean fast across the board, and speed wins, especially indoors. And if this was in a rugged, sloppy, nasty, I think it'd be closer. But I think I'm going to pick Oregon to cover the 3.5. My concern is Tyler Warren is, I think he's one of the best tight ends to ever play college football. I know that's a bold statement. I'm amazed, and he's got a really good coach, Koldenicki, the offense coordinator for Penn State, that utilizes him. I would find a way, and I said this on Big Ten Network. He had 17 touches against USC. I'm putting the ball in his hand at least 20 times, Mark. And that's direct snap at quarterback. That's handed to him. That's let him run and obviously throw it to him. Because I'm just worried Penn State just doesn't have the other spots.
Yep.
They have Katron Allen and Singleton.
Yep.
I just don't see the juice on the outside that they normally have. They're good
Tyler
players,
Warren.
but I just don't see the juice. So I'm gonna say Oregon's gonna cover the spread, the fastest team in college football, on that fake grass and controlled environment in Indy.
The game that we all thought would be Ohio State, Oregon. Instead, it's Penn State.
Penn State.
And James Franklin has a big opportunity to kind of get some of those naysayers off his back. He's had troubles in those top 5 games. This is a huge opportunity for him to kind of get over that hump, get his program over that hump, and get a bye, right?
Yep.
Get a bye. That is, wow.
All right, what an opportunity
for
to have
them.
a bye.
I've
been hating on Penn State. I don't think they're worthy, so they have a chance to prove me wrong.
Yep, I think they have a chance to prove a lot of people wrong. Let's put it that way. Let's go to the SEC championship game. Georgia, Texas, round number 2. Round number 1 went for the Bulldogs. And this one is at a neutral site in name only. Like, let's be clear. Atlanta is Bulldog territory.
Yes.
But the Longhorns, really, guys, depending what happens in Indy, they could enter the playoffs as the number 1 overall seed.
Round 2. Ready.
Round 2.
Fight. Ready. Fight. In week 8, Georgia beat that Texas tail 30-15. Yep. Texas had just 29 rushing yards, coach, and they gave us 7 sacks in the game. And Carson Beck didn't even play well. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions, coach. It was a bad day for what many may say is the best offensive line in the country in Texas. But they're different teams since their last meeting. Carson Beck has finally found his stride. In the last 3 games, 330 yards per game, 12 touchdowns, no turnovers.
Speaking for Georgia fans,
I can't wait. Where are you going with this, Mark? Where
Listen,
are you going?
I'm laying the ground law. But Texas, they had 29 rushing yards in the first game.
Where are you going with this, Mark?
They found an identity with Trey Wisner. He has back-to-back games with 150-plus rushing yards and 207
Where are you going with
yards
this, Mark?
last week versus A&M. So I wouldn't just assume this game is going to be like the last one. Which Georgia team will show up, Coach? We've seen them.
A or B.
We've seen them smash Clemson. We've seen them smash Texas.
Where are you
We've seen
going,
them
Mark?
smash Tennessee. But we've also seen them going to 8 OT against Georgia Tech. We've seen this defense look like the Georgia of old. We've seen them give up 40 points to Georgia Tech and 31 to Mississippi State. So which Georgia team will show up? Who is playing quarterback for the Longhorns, Coach? Quinn Ewers is health. He's playing through a high ankle sprain. Coach Sark says he has some things to work through to get ready for the game. Is it art season? Is it art season? Carson Beck versus the Texas defense. What's this line, Stoner?
I knew you.
Is Texas minus 2.5?
It's close. Hold on, I'm scrolling.
I'm
2.5.
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. Where
I know.
Are you going,
what could it
man?
be?
Oh.
Well, it all depends. I'm with you. It all depends what Georgia team is
You
going to
just
show
rattled
up.
off stats. Talk to me.
What's going on with this game here, Coach? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Call it, Mark.
Got to make a pick.
Hurrah.
There it
Georgia
is.
Bulldogs with the hurrah. They going. Georgia gonna beat them again this weekend, man. Out there in Atlanta in Bulldog territory. Beck playing better. The defense playing better. They had the wake up call. You got the horns up. You got the hook 'em horns up. Beck didn't even play good in the first game.
I know. That blew my mind when I saw that.
He's playing much better. The defense was suspect versus Georgia Tech. Yes, they were. But I got the hurrah for the dog of the week. Hurrah. Georgia. For your deuce dog of the week.
There you have it.
Hurrah.
There you have it.
That's good enough for you, Coach. Did you like the anticipation? Did you like the climactic finish? Hurrah.
This is a beautiful thing.
This is Coach right now. Let's go.
Gone.
Let's go. Punch it out. All right. Follow, subscribe, rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media at 3X Option Show. Don't forget, submit your questions. We love to answer them during the show. New episodes coming your way every Wednesday. As always, big thanks to our sponsors, Wendy's, BetMGM, USAA. Big thanks to Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman for joining us as well. And thanks for watching. Thanks for just hanging out with us for whatever we went, like an hour and a half. It's a big commitment. We appreciate it, and enjoy championship weekend. And no flag planting this week. No flag planting, please.